number 2 is the big conversation. What are the Browns going to do? Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Dan, so given all that, obviously Shedeur's been linked to the Browns, and we know right now their quarterback situation is kind of just a mess. Maybe Joe Flacco, given his success with Kevin Stefanski. But do you think ultimately Kirk Cousins is going to be who the Browns turn to, and he's going to be the starting quarterback next year? Obviously, everything in there, nothing's really moved yet, but it seems like that's kind of the most logical choice.
Yeah, I do. I think the things that make sense to me are Kirk Cousins eventually will be with the Browns, and Aaron Rodgers is already going to the Steelers. I think with the Browns, if you look at it and you go, okay, well, Kenny Pickett, if Kirk Cousins becomes their starting quarterback and they add a player like Travis Hunter, if I were the Browns, I would take Travis Hunter at 2. If I was dead set on not taking a quarterback and I was getting Cousins, I got a chance now because this is still a talented roster, and Stefanski is still a very good coach. Travis Hunter would play wide receiver for me, but I think Kirk Cousins never seemed settled last year. We called his games on Monday Night Football. He never seemed comfortable. It never seemed like the right offensive fit, although I thought it would be perfect. Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator at Atlanta, he didn't run the similar stuff that Kirk was, accustomed to. And if we're going to talk about like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in the play action and how Caleb hasn't done any play action, so that's going to take time. Kirk's only done play action. And so it didn't mesh for him in Atlanta because they just didn't run it. And so I think if Cleveland gets Kirk Cousins and drafts Travis Hunter at 2, I think they immediately become a competitive football team. And I would bank on that being the case.
Okay, a lot of people are saying that around the Browns. To clarify one stat that you made, you said, I don't know if this is a real number, but it appears from watching the film, it's like 50%, 34% of Shedeur's throws are at or behind the line of scrimmage, let alone what is within 2-3 yards of down the
Exactly,
field.
yeah.
So your stat, that was from Hembo. Hembo literally just texted that in.
Hembo.
Yeah, Hembo just texted that in because he was watching. Shout out to Hembo. And he said,
hey, Hembo, how many of his passes are thrown like inside of 5 yards of the line of scrimmage? Get that to us.
I assume we'll get a text here from Hembo in a matter of moments. But the reason why he sent that in, because there for a little bit, it was like Browns are going to take quarterback. That means they're going to take Shedeur is what everybody thought. So then as you start thinking about, well, is Shedeur going to be the number 2 overall pick? You say maybe Travis Hunter. They're saying maybe Abdul Carter, team him up with Myles Garrett, especially if you're able to bring in a Kirk Cousins. So now you got a veteran quarterback and you got 2 pass rushers that should seemingly be able to win games for you. If they were to take Shedeur Sanders.
Take Travis Hunter, man, and play him at wide receiver.
What about a package on the defensive side? No?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. It's like you play him at DB. But here's what I do know. Defensive back, and I want to respect all the DBs. Dude, you go cover that guy. Like, hey, we're in man coverage. Go cover that human being. So it's like, just go cover them. It's these elite athletes. Jalen Ramsey, go cover them. And so, hey, cover 2, you're playing the flat. Or cover 3, you got deep third. So I think you could build a package for Travis in certain situational pass-centric moments where you could give him some coverages that he should feel comfortable to. But like the reason I look at it and say play wide receiver is, one, as an offense, I could take a defensive back that's really good and take him out of the game. I can formation him. I can motion. I can minimize his impact on the game, especially if he doesn't have an elite corner opposite him. The second thing is, as an offense, I can always manufacture touches for guys. You mean to tell me that you watch this guy play wide receiver and you watch his ball skills and you don't want to force the ball to him 10 times a game? I mean, he's got clips that I'm like, oh, this looks like Randy Moss. This looks like Justin Jefferson with the ball in his hands. Dude, his strides are ridiculously long. So as an offense, I'm like, I can force the ball to him 10, 12 times a game, and I know it's going to happen. I could take a defensive back out of the game. Like, imagine if you're Baltimore. You're going to throw the ball to him?
This one.
No, you're just going to force that. Dude, Patty's got like 10 of those.
yeah, that one was at the beginning of the season. It was like, this guy is unbelievable. And you mentioned earlier when you were talking about Shedeur forced it to 12 a lot. It's like there might be a reason. Yeah. It might be
exactly
what you're chatting about. But yeah, that's a good point about if he's a DB, you can kind of keep him out of the game. You can just keep him away from it. They used to do it to Revis. That's why a lot of the corners don't have as many like stats, because the offense just goes, okay, well, we're not going to throw anywhere near said guy. And if a quarterback tries to throw it towards guy and gets picked, they're walking to the sideline and every coach is saying, hey, we just don't fucking We don't go near that guy.
What are you doing?
Like that is the sign.
We did that with Revis. We did that with Sherman. We would go into the game and be like, "You're not throwing to him. Namdi Asamoah, don't throw the ball to his side. Don't care what the coverage is. You're not looking over there."
Asante Samuel. Obviously.
Patrick Peterson, yep.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm happy to hear you just went along with that. Let's make sure we put a little respect on Asante Samuel on this. But you're right. I appreciate that narrative, actually. It's like we want this guy to have the ball in his hands, right? Is that not what we want? So let's get him on offense, and if we need him to go lock somebody down on defense, we can certainly do that. Congrats to Travis Hunter, by the way.
Yeah.
Basically, everybody's saying the same thing about him, and he hasn't been in the NFL yet. And all they say is the dude loves ball. He's locked in. He'll stream every once in a while. But other than that, he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything. He's like the perfect football player going forward.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that you're in our sport, brother. Deion Sanders' child, Shedeur Sanders. We know he has the traits of greatness because we've seen his father obviously become one of the greatest athletes of all time and argument greatest athlete of all time. Shedeur Sanders' pro day is tomorrow, and you are traveling. I understand that right now, so we appreciate you taking time in the back of the car. And if your service isn't fantastic, we're completely okay with that. With Shedeur, what do you think needs to happen at the pro day? What are you looking for at the pro day? And what's really the conversation in your eyes around Shedeur Sanders?
I think the number one thing that I would want to see at the pro day is the ball jump off his hand a little bit. I would tell you this. I think Shedeur, for me, is the hardest evaluation I've had at that position since I got into TV. Reasoning is this. When you're taking a guy in that top 5, top 7 position, you want traits that are uncoachable, physical traits that are uncoachable. And there's not a ton in Shedeur's game that looks physically uncoachable. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot that's awesome. The reason why I say it's such a tough evaluation is I don't know if this number is real or not, but I would tell you half of his throws are at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's just the nature of what they had to do at Colorado, like screens and RPOs, half of them. So you take half of those throws and throw them out because they don't matter. Anybody in the world can do that. And then you take a quarter of his throws and you throw them out because the pass protection in the offensive line is so bad. It's so bad. You're like, I don't care if it's Lamar, Josh, Patrick. No one is doing anything behind the line. So then you're like, you get a quarter of his passes that you feel like you can evaluate. And when you see that he has some time of timing, like those throws, the timing, the rhythm, the ball placement, when he's in a clean pocket, when he can manipulate somewhat, he's really impressive. He does that really, really, really well. But then you watch tape and you're like, nah, he's running for his life, can't throw that out. Or, man, he's only throwing the ball to Travis Hunter. Like, that throw's sensational. That read, that throw's sensational. But sometimes he only looks to throw to Travis Hunter. So you're like, all right, I can't knock him for that. But are you only locking on Travis? Sometimes he just catches the ball and it's like, all right, I'm just going to run. I'm just going to look for where I can move in the pocket and run. And part of you understands that because the pass protection is so bad. But I think one of the things that consistently I would write down is I want the ball to jump off his hand. I want him to drive the football. I want him to absolutely, like, there's 18 yards. It's in between a safety and a corner. You need to throw an absolute piss missile right now. And he doesn't have a ton of that. And so, like, at the pro day, I would want to see him step into some and just freaking drive them and go, all right, like, this is a part of my game that I'm capable of.
So interesting, because if you drop Shedeur, and I don't want to say this to Will Howard because I like Will Howard, you put Shedeur on that Ohio State team, or you put Shedeur on, like, Georgia, or you put Shedeur on Alabama, or you put Shedeur on Ole Miss, or you put Shedeur on any of these teams that, him, his dad, and his crew had to build They had to build, at 2 schools. They had to build and create. So there's going to be some holes, obviously. Now, granted, they have a lot of talent and skill, but the offensive line at 1 year and then next year and everything like that. So I could see why you would say it'd be a hard read, because it's like the guy seemingly makes plays. The guy was able to rebuild 2 different programs. The guy has the it factor. He's used to the spotlight. But it's like, will he be a guy that'll be able to adjust to an NFL game? I think yes, just strictly because of the relationship. But I could see how NFL teams and you are like, we don't really know because you can always play the game if this person was on this team, what would happen? But you don't actually get to see it, though. So then it's like, is he making the right decisions in those moments? Because some of the decisions that he's making are out of desperation. Like you say, he's running for his life.
Yes.
Fascinating on what it is.
Yeah, and I would tell you, a guy that I've comped him to is Tua. And so you mentioned the Alabama. If you put him on there, I don't think he's got as much anticipation as Tua. Tua has, one of one anticipation, but there's nothing about Tua's game that physically is like, oh my goodness, outside of the things that matter, the ball placement, the in rhythm, the layering of throws. I say this all the time. Shedeur consistently makes the right throw, not making every throw. He's not going to wow you athletically. I do know this. He's tough as nails.
Yes.
I do know that. This dude is tough. I think he's really smart. I think he's probably mentally very tough as well because of the upbringing, because of the pressure, because of the spotlight. I think with Shedeur, like, you just want to sit there and watch some tape with him because he doesn't get fooled by coverage often. The ball goes to the right place consistently. But there are stuff you're going, why are you holding that football? Like, why are you holding it? And if he says, listen, man, it's 2nd and 8, we're down 28-7 in the first quarter, I can buy that. Like, I can buy that. So I just think there's a lot of variables around him that were so bad that you want to have those combos.
I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.